What is up, guys? So it has been a minute since I've made a YouTube video, and that is because I just got a little burned out on all the video editing, and about that time I got really swamped with work, so I just decided to do the work and not video anything. So anyway, sorry about that, but we're back here, and we are once again working on the 240SX, only basically we're not working on it, we're going to go racing tonight. So this is going to be a racing video, which is awesome. I've never made one of those yet, and I want to do a lot of that this year. So it turns out we're going to go racing tonight at Mokan Dragway, which is my local racetrack here. So this is a last minute thing for me. We're going to leave here in about an hour. But the car is ready for that for the most part. So I'm trying to think about how to catch you up on what I've done and where we're at. Let me flip the camera around here. Okay, so since we last talked about the car, basically I have got the turbo system completely done, but I think everybody's up to date on the install of that. And I've got the intercooler completely installed. So we got the 5-inch on-3 intercooler in the car now, and the bumper has been trimmed and cut everywhere it needed to be. So the intercooler is installed and the bumper's back on. I think that's probably about the time I stopped making, or I made my last video, was about when I was doing that. So all that's wrapped up, and I have put quite a few street miles on the car. So it works, the intercooler works. I haven't tested the actual intake air temps yet, so I want to do that tonight. My tuner has taken the car for about an hour and tuned it up to about 15 psi, so we are safe to race tonight up to 15 psi or so. Next time I can get with my tuner, we're going to tune up to about 30 psi or so. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that done before my race night tonight, so that's okay. We'll just go to the track and have fun and see what she does. Another thing that I have done is I have installed and built a back pressure sensor canister, which is mounted right there. So I built that container, and you can see the back pressure sensor screws in right there, and then that copper line goes down and around and just taps into the exhaust manifold just right in front of the turbo. So that will tell us how much pressure is in front of the turbo, and ideally we want to keep that somewhere around 2 times boost pressure or less is kind of the rule of thumb. So that tees in right here and gets pressure in front of the turbo from that port right there. So that'll just be some good data. We'll never have any back pressure issues to speak of with this big old turbo anyway, until we max this turbo out, which is going to happen somewhere around, I would guess, around 950 horsepower or so based on what I've seen other people do. So it'll be good to have that data. But yeah, car's ready. It runs good. It drives good. Everything basically is real happy right now. So it's just time to go race it and see what happens. Race day is always a nerve-wracking thing for me because I always am afraid I'm going to forget something or something isn't tightened down. And there's also the distinct possibility of blowing something up, which I have done in the past. So it's always kind of a nervous thing to go racing and stressful. But if everything goes smooth, it'll be a good night. And if it doesn't go smooth, it'll be a good night. We're just going to have fun. Taking my daughter's boyfriend, Jonathan, with me. And so that's going to be real fun to have a friend at the track to help me out if need be, and just to kind of get him exposed to drag racing a little bit at the track. I don't know that he's ever been to Mokan. I kind of don't think he has, but haven't really asked him yet. So it'll be fun to get him there. Of course, we have a roll cage now in the car, so the track officials shouldn't say anything about safety as far as cage goes. We should be good on cage all the way down into the 8s, I think. I want to hook up the GoPro camera and connect it somewhere here on the roll bar and maybe get some actual track footage from inside the car if at all possible. And then I'm going to try to have Jonathan film from outside the car. I'd like to see what the suspension does when I launch. I don't know if I can pull all that off tonight or not, but I'll do my best. And yeah, let's get to the track. Guys, we have made it to the track and we are lining up, and we're going to do a little test run here and see how it goes. I have no idea really what to expect. Car should be running approximately 15 pounds of boost, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe 12 to 15, I don't really know. We're going to just line up here and find out. So yeah, this will be my first run of 2021, test and tune night, Mokan Dragway. Just going to see what happens here. Pretty nervous, obviously, to do this. Last time I was here was last year. Ran at 980, but I lifted the passenger side head. Ended up having to pull the engine and rebuild it and all that stuff, so that kind of sucked, but it was still a fun night. So here we are back again. Time to see what she do. Huh, you think that's good? That'll work, huh?
Maybe. I think your head might be like covering this section of the screen.
My head will be like there.
Yeah. So I guess I'll have enough.
I've been recording this whole time. Okay, so I thought I'd do a little voiceover here to just talk you through what's going on. Right here I'm looking like a dork looking into my camera, and now I'm all ready to stage the car. The guy has waved me forward and told me to go into the left lane, which is the lane that I prefer every time I go here. So I'm just lining up here, nervous as all get out, first time at the track for many months. Waterbox guy's telling me to pull forward. Waterbox guy's asking me if I'm front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. I told him I'm rear wheel drive. He pulled me up, told me to stop. Pulls the next guy up, then he says go for it. So I'm flooring it. Car's bouncing around a little bit. I'm looking in the rear view to see if my tires are spinning, and then I go forward, make sure I'm in the right gear, and pulling up. I'm trying to figure out and remember where the beams are. Here we go, getting close. Trip the first beam, second beam. Now I sit there, left foot brake really hard. Make sure I'm data logging, looking at the laptop screen in the passenger seat, trying to remember to hit the trans button, and here I am looking for the other guy. Why is he not pulling forward? Eventually the track official just told me to go for it, and so I went for it with basically no launch control whatsoever. The car feels really good right through here. It is really flying, and I'm trying to remember where the end of the track is, and I'm off the gas. Here you can see it from my wife's phone perspective. Watch the guy in the middle. Eventually he gets kind of like tired of me waiting around. He's like, go for it, dude. And so I'm kind of embarrassed, and I just go for it. And you can hear the announcer here in a second. So I ran an 1196 at 141. Not a good time at all, but not a bad speed. Okay guys, I hope you can hear me. That first pass was totally messed up, but we ran 11.9 at 141. So the first half of the track was horrible, but the back half was really decent. So I messed up the launch. I was waiting for the guy in the other lane to catch up to me and to stage, and he never did, and the lights went. And I didn't know what was going on. The track guy just kind of waved me on, and I barely had time to two-step at all. And so anyway, I'm lined right back up, and I'm gonna make another pass and see if I can do better. Okay, and we're lining up for our second pass of the night. The sun's gone down. Time to line up in the left lane again. Waterbox guy's telling me to pull forward and get lined up here. Getting ready to do a burnout. Making sure my data logger is data logging. Waiting. And in this pass, we have similar problems that we've had in the last pass with the trans brake. You'll see me struggle up here in a minute. And burnout time. Burnouts are always fun. Okay, now time to pull up here and find the beams again. Creeping up. First beam, second beam, left foot brake, right thumb on the trans brake button, floor the gas, and for some reason I push right through the beams. Not supposed to happen, so I hit reverse, pull backwards to attempt to restage, put it in drive, and the car dies. Great. Hope it restarts. It does restart. Put it back in drive, pull forward to trip the beams the second time, and try to do this again. Left foot brake, right finger on the trans brake button, floor the throttle, and it kind of works, and we launch. Car's making good power right through here, pulling extremely strong, feeling very fast. I thought I was gonna be high, not high 140s, but like mid 140s. And the run's over, and hard on the brakes. Okay, so that was my second run, and it didn't do any better than the first run. I staged, and I hit the two-step button, and the car just pushed through the brakes and pushed through the beams, and so I stopped. I put it in reverse. I pulled back. The car died. I had to restart it, restage, hit the two-step again, and I can't remember what happened. I think it pushed through the beams again and started the clock, but I just sat there because I wanted to see if the car would pop and bang and build some boost, and it did. And by the time it did, I realized, oh, the clock probably started. So I let off the two-step and I took off, and I ran like a 12 something or other at like 139. So the mile per hour again is still doing okay, but the run was screwed up. So I don't know why I'm having trouble staging on the two-step. I don't know why it's giving me trouble. The only thing I can think of is I've got it, instead of having the transmission in D, I've got it in the next one down, which on my car is 2, but in reality it's 3. I don't think that matters. I don't think that's going to hurt anything, but I might just put it in D this time just to see. I don't want to hit 4th at the top of the quarter mile, because you don't want to put down big power in this transmission in 4th gear. They say you'll tear your transmission up. So it's a little bit risky to run it in D, because it could go into 4th at the top of the track and hurt something. Or I might hit the quarter mile line before it ever gets to 4th. That would be ideal. But I think I'm going to put it in D this time and see if anything changes. So anyway, that's it. That's what happened. We're just going to try again. So I'm back in line and waiting on the rest of the cars to go. Here we go, boys. Last run of the night. Okay, so here's my last run of the night. I'm staging. You can hear the motor come up. You can hear some boost being built. The car's bouncing, although you can't see it. I take off. Immediately something's wrong, and wham, shoots me into the center of the track. Now that didn't look all that bad on camera, but I'm here to tell you that felt real bad in real person, in real life. So got through the run. Had no idea what happened, but I knew that was a terrible run. So later I found out that what had happened was the trans brake actually didn't even activate at all. I was foot braking that whole time, and the bouncing I felt in the car was me actually doing a burnout sitting there. And then when the light went and I let off the brake, I took off in immediate wheel spin, and then when the power really poured in, it shot me hard left, and that's actually what happened there. So really a junk run. But anyway, just more launch problems, which is what I suffered with all night long. So that's the way that night went. So yeah, that was total crap. It was like an 11.3 at 135 or something. So yeah, what can I say about that? Pretty much just sucks all the way around, but I'm not mad about it. It's my first day to the track for 2021. You can't expect everything to go super smooth. Alright guys, so it is the next morning. We made it home from the track late last night, and basically just hung out and crashed and went to bed, and figured I would give the car a good look over this morning and figure out what happened on the last pass and where all the oil was coming from, and just kind of give you a recap of the night. So that's what we're going to do now. Let me flip this camera around. Okay, so on the last pass I had a bunch of oil on the windshield, or fluid. I wasn't sure what it was. Turns out it was just oil. You can't really see it on camera, I'm sure, but I was afraid it was radiator fluid, which would mean maybe I lifted ahead again, but no, it's just oil. So and then we had a bunch of smoke coming out of here as I was coming back to the pits, and I wasn't sure what that was, but it turns out what had happened was my power steering reservoir here had kind of popped off its bracket and fell down, and rubbed on the pulley here and burned the bottom of it just enough to create a really small leak. But I don't know if that thing's under some kind of pressure or not, but it leaked out a bunch of fluid. You can see a whole puddle of it right there, and that fluid I think just got flung all over the place due to the pulleys, and got on the exhaust over here and was smoking, and it sprayed all over the wheel wells here. I've got oil back there on the firewall. As far as I can tell, that's all power steering fluid. It kind of seems strange that I would have it that far back on the firewall though, so not 100% sure on that, but I really can't find anything else wrong. The car ran fine coming down pit lane. I got on it pretty hard, and everything felt good. It built boost. It wasn't cutting out or missing, so I don't think we really have any problem other than the power steering situation. I do have a lot of blow-by that came out of my makeshift jug here, and it sprayed all over here and back here, so some of that on my windshield is from that maybe too. So this jug has really got to go. It's just got too many holes in it, and it's just a makeshift temporary solution anyway, so it's probably time to get serious about that and either build a nice overflow and stick it right here, or have a buddy of mine, Andrew, who does that kind of work, have him build me one. That was my original plan. So I guess it's probably time to get serious about that, and at the same time we'll build a coolant overflow container and stick it probably back there, was my thinking on that. So that's that. The track officials did come see me 2 times last night. One time to tell me that I need a fire jacket and a neck pad underneath my helmet. He said I graduated and I better have some fire safety stuff now, so I understand that. I will do that. And we did do 141 mile an hour last night, which is pretty good. We did 143 last year, so to come back out on the first night running less boost and run 141 was pretty good to see, pretty encouraging for me. But at only 15 psi, that tells me that we're going to probably creep up on 150 mile an hour pretty darn quick, which we should, and I expect to. So, but what that means is I'm going to need a parachute. So the track official talked to me about that too. So that's coming, parachute for the car I'm going to have to do, and fire safety jacket at least, and I'll probably get some gloves and whatever else they require, or whatever else just seems like a good idea to get at the same time. It's time to get serious about that stuff. And there's probably going to be some other things that I need safety wise, like I know I need a drive shaft loop. I read that on the racetracks page that I'm supposed to have that already, so I might do that. And then I'm not sure what else, but I need to look into some of the safety aspects of this and meeting all the requirements of the track and all that. I want to stay safe and I want everybody around me to be safe. So I did the cage last year. That was the first step towards that direction. So now it's just time to do a few more little things and get this thing safe and legal to go 8s and over 150 mile an hour, because I think we're gonna creep up on that real fast. Now, as far as my performance last night, it was pretty crap, to be honest with you. I had a lot of trouble getting off the line with this car, and some of it was my fault. The first 2 passes of the night, I simply didn't hold the brake down hard enough, and I pushed through the brakes, and it took me a couple passes to realize that I just wasn't holding it hard enough. And then after that, just a couple of different mistakes and little things, I'm not really sure. And then my very last pass of the night, I felt like I did everything right, but for some reason the tires started spinning on the line. So I don't know if the sloppy 2-step action trans brake thing I've got going failed or something, but for some reason the tires started spinning on the line and the car started bouncing a little bit like this, and I could feel the bounce, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on, and it was happening real fast, and I was a little confused. And as it was happening, the light turned, so I just took off, and then I got crazy sideways on that pass, almost crossed into this, or did cross into the center of the track, and then corrected back. And the track official came and saw me when I was strapping the car down on the trailer, and he was not happy about that. He said something like, "Whatever you did on that pass, don't do that again. You almost took out the center block in the center lane," or something like that, which kind of pissed me off, to be honest with you, because it sounded like he had an attitude. He acted like I did that on purpose, and it was an accident, which honestly made me mad. But I was pretty stressed out. The car was sitting there smoking. I was trying to figure out if the car was about to catch fire. Do I need to get the fire extinguisher out? Like, I was stressed out, and he rolls up real fast on his little golf cart and starts talking to me about what I did wrong. So it was stressful for a few minutes there, but whatever. He's just trying to do his job, and I'm just trying to do mine. So anyway, it was a good night of racing. It was good to have my wife there, and Jonathan was there. So it's good to have some family at the track. That makes it fun for me to have other people around for sure. So anyway, that was my first trip of 2021 to the drag strip. All in all, it was a success, and there were some things to work on. I've got to do some testing on the 2-step. Another problem was I was having trouble building enough boost on the launch. Once I finally did figure out how to stage and 2-step correctly and get some boost, I realized I just wasn't getting a whole lot of boost. I was able to get 5 to 6 psi on my best pass. Last year on the small turbo, at one point I was building 16 psi on the line, which is awesome. So I wanted to try to get that much if I possibly can. My cat's swirling around my legs here, wanting some attention. Hey buddy, how are you? This is Oscar. It's one of our cats. Oscar buddy. We call him Skeeby. Hey, buddy. So yeah, I need to figure out how to make this thing build boost on the line. With this big turbo, it's not as easy as you can imagine as it was with the smaller turbo. So I need to be launching on, no less than 10 psi, and more the better. So I'll get my tuner on that, and we'll get on the street and do some testing somewhere on a back road and see if we can figure out how to manipulate the timing or whatever. And hopefully we can fix it that way. It may come down to a situation where it's a converter problem, which I suspect and have been suspecting for some time, that I might end up having to change converters. So we'll see what that leads us to. But anyway, yep, fun night. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up and a like. If you have any questions, hit me up down below, and I will see you guys on the next one.